Sipho was preparing to get married, or at least to propose to his girlfriend. So he went to his father, Temba, for advice about choosing the right woman. And Temba said, Sipho, my son, it's very easy. If you marry the right woman, you are complete. If you marry the wrong woman, you are finished. And if the right one catches you with the wrong one, you are completely finished. Oh, wow, Dr. T, good evening.
Good evening, Brother Rams, man. How are you doing?
I'm dark and lovely, thank you, Dr. T. I'm completely not finished. I'm completely ready now.
Yeah. No, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Well, good evening, folks, and welcome to Talk with Rams Live. We are on Facebook and YouTube, as usual, and this is your show. We want you to participate. I'm joined by Dr. Thando Sibanda. I'm not going to give you know the drills by now. You know where to find us on the platforms. You know what to follow by now. You know who to share it with by now. So we hope you're doing the right thing, and we hope that you can participate on the show with us tonight, because this is your show. This is about you. But most importantly for me, we also want you to continue giving us your contact details so that when we move over to the next platform, we don't leave you behind. Do send us an email with your contact details on Talk with Rams. Is it that? No, it's admin at talkwithrams.com. Admin at talkwithrams.com. So, Dr. Thando Sibanda, labels, my brother, labels. You know, you brought up a subject here that just got me so touched in many ways, and I'm actually going to be, trust me, it's going to be a very tough show for you tonight, because I have tough questions for you on this issue of labels and how they impact us, and how we impact our children negatively because of the labels we attach to the things that they do or the things that they say or how they look like, and they end up being affected. So we gotta break down the power of negative labels, Dr. T. So let's start this conversation.
Sure, my brother. It's a very interesting one. You know, I think the departure point is that labels are very powerful, very, very powerful. I remember, growing up, right at primary school, secondary school, high school, and even in the neighborhood that I grew up in, I used to know a lot of people by their nicknames, by their labels that we gave each other, rather than by their names, even up till now. I mean, when I chat with some of my buddies from high school, all I remember is the nickname and not even the name of the person. And you find that of everything, it is the labels that stuck, and these labels, they become a core part of your identity, and I'm sure it's probably the same for you as well, that you know a lot of people by their labels rather than by their actual birth names.
It's very true, Dr. T. And sometimes as we grow older, now you meet the guy that you've known by this label for the last 40 years, and they're with their children, and you're no longer sure whether you should call them by the same label that has been there. Like you're thinking, it can't be right that I can call them that which we used to call them at school.
For sure. And that's so true. That's so true. But see, the funny thing is that labels just stick. That's the thing. Labels stick, and it's very, very difficult to shake them off. And what's interesting is that while we laugh about the externalization of it, there is even a bigger implication on our psyche in terms of our self-concept and then how we act. Labels are very, very powerful things, my brother.
Well, let's then define this word label, Dr. T. I would not be talking to you if we never start with definition.
Oh, sure. I think there is two definitions that I want us to catch just for the sake of our viewers tonight. The first one is that when we talk about a label, in basic terms, we talk about a piece of paper, fabric, plastic, or a similar material that is attached to an object giving information about it. And so we can say, well, the alcohol content is stated on the label. Remember, when you go buying meat, you are buying minced meat or sausages, you need to read the label. They will tell you this is 75% water and 25% meat, or the other way around. But you've got to read the label to know what exactly is there. There's normally more water than meat nowadays, anyway. And then the second one is a label can be looked at in terms of behavioral science as a classifying phrase or name applied to a person or thing, right? Especially one that is restrictive or inaccurate, So we label people as much as we label products, and that becomes the challenge there. And so labels, yes, sir.
When it comes to people, what is the source? Where does it come from? How do we get to label people?
Right. You see, labels are very powerful things, Rams, and in fact, when you actually look at it, human beings receive labels when they are born. They put a name on the baby. That's already a label, and then you live with a label. People label you, and when you die, they put a tag on your toe. So it seems like we can't escape labels in the first place. But there are two main sources of labels in our lives. The first one is our birthing environment, our nurturing environment, and our circumstances. Now, this is very important because here I'm talking of our upbringings, I'm talking of our homes, parents, siblings, school friends, work environment. People get labeled in those. But a lot of it actually starts from the time that we were kids. You will find that, Rams, a lot of us today have got labels that we received when we were kids, still living in your parents' house. And the siblings labeled you something, or parents labeled you something, or maybe school friends labeled you something, maybe your teachers labeled you something. And those labels, they stick and they have stuck. Today, someone is 40, 50, those labels have stuck and they present problems. That's one. Secondly, labels come from our actions. They come from our behavior. So we act in a certain way, and we present in a certain way, and that then becomes the basis of a label that gets attached. And so sometimes our behavior becomes the choice that begets the challenge, to a point where we end up viewing or seeing ourselves through our faults, flaws, and failures, And once our perceptual worldview or our perceptual framework or perceptual windscreen becomes one of faults, flaws, and failures, then you know that the labels that were instilled in us have become effective. And once they are instilled, we end up believing them, and then we own them, and then we propagate them. That's the challenge.
Gee, so if we call you hothead, if they call me hothead, I believe that, I end up owning it, and I live my life being a hothead. I propagate it.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. In fact, the science of it is even very interesting, because remember, human behavior is premised on what is called a belief system, right? I don't want to get into the neuroscience of it, of the reticular activation system and the internal processing meters, but human behavior is premised on a belief system in terms of what we can understand. And you find that belief systems are very, very strong, especially when we look at just the psychology of it. Our subconscious mind works in tandem with our belief system. That's why people will die for their beliefs. Wherever you go, people are very touchy concerning their belief system. If you have a guy who's got certain beliefs, it doesn't matter. He lives in an amazing house. He will strip down and do his rituals. It's part of their belief system. And it's important to realize, well, what is a belief system? A belief system is an internalized certainty concerning something. The internalized certainty simply means that you no longer ask questions. You never interrogate your belief system. People don't argue against their belief system. They argue from their belief system. And so that's why people, in terms of culture, they are very, very touchy. In terms of their faith, they are very, very touchy, because those are identity-defining frameworks. So we define ourselves on the basis of what we believe. And so once something is an internalized certainty, we don't question it. And that's why belief systems are so important, because they calibrate behavior and they calibrate our self-concept. Whoever I become, how I carry myself, and the decision I make concerning my existence are all premised on who I believe myself to be and what I believe about myself. So belief systems are very powerful, Rams. They probably account for most of our existential reality as we know it.
I remember in one of our conversations, Dr. T, and I'd like us not to spend too much time on it, but just to remind our community, our followers, the three legs of the belief system, because I remember you always speak about something starts as a suggestion, it becomes reinforced, then it becomes a testimony.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Remember, anything with three legs will stand. And so for a belief system starts off as an idea, and what you believe about yourself today was installed somewhere. Someone suggested it to you. Maybe you did it yourself, maybe a parent, maybe a work colleague. I remember I used to work with a guy that struggled so much at work. Not that he was a natural struggler, but it's because on the first day, I think he just made a little mistake, and the supervisor said, you know what, you are very slow, you are going to give us problems here. That guy never settled in that job until he left. Why? Because someone installed in him a suggestion that he was just not good enough. So every time he made a mistake, guess what? The script that was playing in his mind was the script that was imprinted in his subconscious mind that said that you're not good enough. So once a suggestion is made, the progression of it is that it gets reinforced, and then from there it becomes a testimony. From a testimony, it becomes a conviction. From a conviction, it's a position. Once it is a position, you become what is called a prisoner by choice. As a prisoner by choice, after the third leg, you now propagate that label. It's no longer an external opinion. You will champion, you will articulate, and you will defend your label, even the labels you don't like. Again, I remember I had a cousin of mine who was a kleptomaniac. He was older than us. The guy who just steal everything around me. Sorry?
Does he work for government?
No. But he was terrible. Man, he would steal anything and everything. And it's funny that whenever my parents and say, well, you guys need to say your verse, favorite verse. And when it came to him, his favorite verse was, "Thou shalt not steal." And that was his biggest challenge. And so because people say, no, you steal a lot, he ended up really propagating that, and that was his whole life, So you will always insist on people to accommodate your label. If you believe you are slow, whenever we do something, you tell people, guys, Minapela, I'm slow, you need to accommodate me. Yes. That's the issue with labels.
Yes. Is it possible to rise above them? And now, today, Dr. T, I don't want the future. I want somebody who walks away from us today to be able to rise above that label, that they are slow, that they are sloppy, that they are whatever, destructive, whatever it is.
I know. Let's look at some of the frameworks, because I do believe that it is possible to rise above the labels. And in fact, when we look at our lives today, one of the biggest defining places where people get labeled is in relationships. That's where the word untrustworthy, the word undependable, you are a chameleon, all of those labels happen in the context of relating, in the ship of relating, but also within our work environments. you will find that there are also character labels that come in there that are very limiting. That person is slow. That person is a backbiter. That person is unstable, unreliable, cannot be trusted. That one is a player. And so you find that becomes the nurturing environment for negative labels. And it's even terrible when people give you labels that you don't even know about. But you can tell from how they deal with you that they don't trust you. So you know that I've got a label that has not been said to me, but I can see it from how people act around me. And so, yes, to answer your question, it is possible to rise above the labels. There are some keys that I can share that people can embrace and live out.
Let's go. How do we do it right away?
All right.
What do we need? What are these keys?
Okay. Firstly, Rams, I would say that, and here I'm speaking to a label that someone knows, and a label that someone now is self-propagating, or a self-perpetuating label, where you know that it's now something that you can't break off of. Maybe your parents said that you are stupid, and now whenever you have an opportunity to shine, you can't rise to the occasion. Maybe you were told that you are the least confident person. Your confidence was shaken. No one trusted you. Now, even at work, you want to speak up. You have solutions, you have ideas, but you are now self-sabotaging because you second guess your own opinion. You can't speak. You know what? One of the best ways to actually rise above the label is a principle I call creating your own rock bottom. You see, when you understand the concept of a rock bottom, we always say that for people to change, they need to descend all the way to the bottom, physically bottom, and they have a calamity. And then after that, there is no way to go but up. We always say, well, if I'm at the bottom, there's no way to go but up. But you see, as coaches and as dealers of hope, we say to people, you don't have to experience the physical rock bottom. You can create a psychological rock bottom. How do you do that? Well, you come to a point where you decide and say, what, enough is enough. I call it being disillusioned with the status quo. So you first of all need to get tired of the label yourself. Because some people may not stop calling you the label, but if you start rejecting the label from within and say, that is not me. You see, the challenge, Rams, is that a lot of people don't get to that point of saying that is not me. And so the biggest problem then is not the external environment, but the biggest problem is the internal representation, is our belief system. The biggest problem, as Michael Jackson said, is the man in the mirror. We need to come to a point where I get tired of the label and I say, you know what, I'm going to do things differently. Some people have been called broke. You've been called broke your whole life. When are you going to get tired of owning that thing? And now, even when it's family meetings, you don't even contribute. Like, guys, everybody knows I'm broke. Even when you are not broke, but you've owned it and now you propagate it. You need to come to a place where you say enough is enough. Create a rock bottom for that label. That's the first departure point.
So you need to get tired of this prison that you've created for yourself.
Yes. And that is why what makes it authentic, the challenge, Rams, is that a lot of times we always look for an external change of circumstances. There's this concept that is taught to young girls about the knight in shining armor, the knight on the shining horse, and that has embedded our psyche as human beings, as a continent, to a point where we always look for external solutions. We never look within ourselves for solutions, And so the main thing is that we need to break that prison, that internal prison. And I want to challenge our viewers tonight to, as this show is going on, write down the labels that you've carried for years, whether people gave to you or whether you have embraced them for yourself. There are certain labels, parents, relatives, siblings. Those are the most notorious in terms of labeling people, and a lot of times it's negatively. Especially in our culture, we even give children names like Mhlupegi, Mhlupego. We give kids labels that they will struggle to ever break free from, There is a funny one. we even name our kids Macharin. You know, I saw someone called Macharin Kumalo. And I'm thinking...
You know, sometimes, Dr. T, I hear names like that, and I force myself to find something positive about names like that. I say to myself, you know, it's possible that it was always a poor family, but when this child was born, there was a chance that now we're about to get margarine in this house for the first time. You know, our bread will be buttered in this house for the first time.
I can hear that. But now imagine the child becomes a brilliant kid and wants to go to parliament. How do you campaign with a name like Macharin? I mean, it's limiting. That's the point. but you see, we've got to first of all reject the labels ourselves. And once we do that, we give our future an opportunity to have us participate in it rather than dying in the wilderness of insecurity and frustration. I'll tell you what labels do, Rams. Labels, they make us sit on the outskirts of our greatness. They make us sit on the periphery of our greatness, and we are afraid to step in and participate in case the label comes alive and spoils things for me. That's the problem.
Because how can I be great when my name is Matlakala? So I hang on to the name and refuse to play in greatness. I love that. I love that. So once I have looked at the man in the mirror and said, I am not that. I am not slow. I'm not a kleptomaniac. I'm not sloppy. I'm not useless. What's the next key?
Right. The next key is not fun, but I will mention it because I think we're helping our people work through things tonight. The next key is where I say embrace the possibility of new beginnings and fight for them. You see, sometimes all we need is to give ourselves a chance. Just give yourself a chance and believe in the possibility of a greater future, of a better future. The reason why a lot of us don't stand up and do things is not because we wouldn't even have the strength. Because remember, momentum gathers as you move in the direction of purpose, right? But a lot of us don't put any kinetic motion. We don't try. And that is because within our psyche, we have not embraced the possibility of a new beginning. Not that you even have to get going. No, embrace the fact that, you know what, we can do something different. And that is why a lot of people love to pray for different circumstances. They love to pray for things to change. But you need to embrace the possibility. And then from there, you need to move towards the direction of what you want to see. So the fight must come with the self-belief. You know, the fight must follow the same belief, the self-belief. If I say that, you know what, it's possible for me to produce 2 books this year, Rams. If I believe in that possibility, I will wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning. That's the fight. Why? Because I believe that it is possible for me. A lot of times we don't step into the ring because we don't believe just that self-belief in the possibility of things turning around for you.
It's because, as Marion Williamson once said, Dr. T, we are scared of our greatness. Therefore, it's easier to sit in the room where we're not great because there's no effort there. You know, you don't have to do much.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And see, the other challenge, Rams, is that when people that you trust, and I'm really going to challenge parents here today, when people that you trust consistently speak something into your life, and it's the same thing with names, right? Why do people leave their names? Because the name is a label. Why? It's because it's when people ask me, what's your name? I tell them my name is Tando. So before I speak it out to you, I speak it into myself. And that's why I believe my work is all about people. I went into human behavior science because my name is Tando. You know, I exhibit love to people, and that's what it is. And you find that people normally follow their names, not necessarily because of anything else, but the fact that your name is something you tell yourself, is something you hear so consistently that it actually shapes your self-perception. And so it's very critical that the voice that you hear the most, remember, the voice you hear the most will determine how you think, what you think, and the direction in which you go. Human behavior always follows belief system, and so we've got to embrace the possibility of saying, you know what, I can become different. I can become better. I can dream big even in small spaces. Where I start is not where I'm going to end. I can be black, but I'm powerful. I can start off poor, but I'm loaded. I'm gifted. I have value, and the world can and will appreciate what I carry. See, the moment I start speaking that into myself, I am embracing the possibility of new beginnings, and I'm generating the requisite energy to move towards the direction of my dreams.
Okay. So once I have then done that, Dr. T, I've embraced it. I'm starting to fight for them. I'm starting to wake up at 5 o'clock to put pen to paper, even if it's just one line. What is then the next key?
Right. The third key is the concept of the anchoring. Now, this concept of anchoring is very, very big in psychology, because remember, human behavior is cemented by anchors, right? Anchors are very powerful things. Remember, an anchor will hold a ship down. An anchor holds things steady. Now, an anchor is something that keeps you connected to a specific thing. So labels have got anchors. So, for example, a smell can be an anchor. You can smell something, it takes you back 20 years. Oh my God, I was at this dance with this girl in high school. A song can become an anchor. The anchors are many, many different things that then connect you to a certain experience that you came out of. And so I say you need to disengage the anchors that speak to those labels. You've got to move forward and not look back. Don't keep the labels, the label anchors that you have let go of. You need to destroy them. You need to get rid of the anchors. So for example, my point is that a lot of people still look back to their then for inspiration when they are living in their now. You see, and so these anchors become these reference points of connection to the past. You've been married for 10 years, but you still have your high school sweetheart's picture in your wallet. That's an anchor for problems, You've given up gambling, but you still have your casino card. You carry it with you in your pocket. That's an anchor. You see. So now the label of gambling over your life is exacerbated by the anchors that you carry, because they link you back there. And because anchors are psychological and anchors make us comfortable, everybody likes their anchors, it's very easy to go back. It's very easy to fall back into it.
Wow. So we have to get out of that very quickly and disanchor ourselves from the past and look forward.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Rams. Just one last one. Remember John Wick.
I watched his bad movies. I watched a lot of his bad movies. Yeah.
Right. John Wick, an amazing guy. He's an assassin. There is one particular movie where John Wick has retired. But Here is the problem. He retires, but he keeps his guns hidden somewhere in his house. He has buried them. He has put some cement there, but they are in his house. The problem with an anchor is that the moment you push him hard enough, the moment you motivate him hard enough, the easiest thing for him to do is to dig and come up guns blazing. And that's exactly what happened. Guys bent his house and he went and dug and came up with his guns. Why? Because those anchors were right there.
I then take the T? And let me play John Wick here. Once I've relabeled myself that I'm retired, I'm no longer a cop, I'm no longer this guy who solves problems, do I really now get to a point where I relabel myself? Is that the next step?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You see, relabeling yourself is actually calibrating the future. We call it calibrate. You've got to calibrate the future. You've got to build the future by establishing new and positive labels. Why is that important? That's very critical, because then going forward, what you are building gets attached attached to the label. It gets attached to the anchor. That's why when people meet, they're like, oh, wow, Dr. T is the coach. But back then, I used to be Dr. T, the TV producer. But today, I'm Dr. T, the coach. So I propagate the label for where I'm going, rather than drag around the labels for where I'm coming from. That's very, very important. In fact, people need to embrace their new labels the same way a house goes through a makeover. I think some people in this show, Rams Tonight, are due for a makeover. A makeover always has the before pictures and the after pictures. What you want to do is to look at your after pictures and not always refer to yourself with the before pictures. Why are you talking about your then when you are living in your now?
My friend Bridget Masango says, but surely there are positive labels, right? Yes, Bridget. Today we're discussing the effects of bad labels, but I need to take it up a bit, Dr. T, with the little time that we have. Positive labels, could they be a lie? When parents grow up calling you handsome, beautiful, whatever, could they be an albatross that you stopped putting up an effort because they told you are intelligent when you're at grade 1? When actually you're just making some effort, it's not that you are very intelligent.
Yeah, look. Every label needs your own personal testimony, and that is why. Remember, I said that the process of a belief system is that there is a suggestion, then there is a reinforcement, then there is a testimony. That testimony then produces a position. So people can say stuff to you, and it's a label that if it's a label that is not real, your own experience will reject that label.
Okay.
And that is why you tell someone, no, you are cute. But if they don't believe that they are cute, forget it. You can try whatever. They will become unlovable because they just don't believe they are worth loving. Even if you tell them you are the most beautiful person in the world, they don't have a personal testimony for it.
The second one and the last one, Dr. T, and I hope we can do it very quickly. Now, I don't know the English word for it, but in my language they call it renegades. So parents would call kids ndondo, nunu, whatever, and that's what people end up calling you because your father always called you ndondo, whatever, and it has no meaning. Now, Tebu Homungale says, my mother calls me, and everybody called me Papiki, even at school. And I hate that name so much because it didn't have a meaning. When I got to university, I used my real name, Teboho, and 16 years later, everyone calls me with my real name and feels good. I hear that and I like that. But mommy calls you Papiki because mommy just loves you. Is it a bad label when they do those ones where, as I say, I can't find the English word. I know renegades is my language.
Yeah. All right. In 30 seconds, look. As long as you have a very clear self-concept and your bigger brand in terms of who you are, where you are going, you are able to carry it forward. You will always be mommy's boy. You'll always be mommy's girl. And mommy has a right to call you whatever, until the day you die. But as long as you are able to build a solid label that you are able to carry moving forward. That's why I'm saying that our viewers tonight, everybody needs to look into themselves and determine what label do I want. It has to be a positive one that you then use to build forward. That's what we call your brand. That's the positive side of the label.
Well, folks, I'll tell you this much. I suggest that you label yourself winners. And winners will stay with this platform. Wherever we go, you want to be part of this platform. So do not refuse yourself a chance to become a great, great person. Stay inside this room. Write to us, give us your details. We'll contact you. We are finalizing this thing. We're just waiting for one partner to solidify this new program that we're doing. And once it's done, you will be part of this winning family. We want the winning mindset. Remember, there's a guy who wrote a book called that. I think I know him. I think he's with us tonight. So please send us your details. admin@talkwithrams.com. Dr. Thando Spanda, always wonderful having you.
Thank you, sir. It's been a pleasure.
It's been a great evening, and thank you everybody for watching, for being with us. Thank you, Freddie. And yes, we will have fame and fortune. We have now cleared up the nonsense that was happening, and actually, I'm so excited about the guest we have next week. I was about to give you a clue, but I'm not going to do that. From me, Rams Mabote, good night, and God bless.